Hi, I'm Tim Gibson. I'm going to talk to you about how to replace house windows. Now, when we look at newer homes that have been built in the last 10 or 15 years, considering replacing windows is not quite as straightforward as if you're looking at older construction. In older construction, typically what you find is with a house that is bricked such as this, is that it's actually bricked and with a rough opening, and then you have a full frame window which goes in there and then is trimmed out on the interior and on the exterior, and the exterior has an aluminum frame which wraps all the way around. So these windows are actually installed before the brick veneer is actually placed on the building, so that these windows actually extend down below this brick and outside the edges of the brick and are nailed on to the framing of the house. So now when you want to change something like this, essentially what you're faced with is having to literally cut these windows out. So you actually have to cut this aluminum all the way. Now, coming back in with a new window, you would follow the same principles as much older homes, with the exception that what you're going to have to do once you cut this window out is most likely you're going to have to put some interior trim to get a finished rough opening to the correct size, because you're going to have to buy your replacement windows a little bit smaller than this opening. And then what you would do is you would put your new windows in, and then you would proceed with trimming around the exterior and then trimming around the interior. So what that's going to involve is using actually wood window trim on the interior, whereas most of your modern windows are actually just drywall and taped and seamed all the way around. And that again is because it's not a window that sits within the structure. As far as it being sitting within the frame of the structure, it's actually a window that sits on the surface of the outside of the building. So those are just some things to consider. And in fact, when you get into something like this with a newer home, it's really something you might want to consider, as opposed to doing it yourself, is actually hire a company that is specifically set up to do replacement windows for this type of application, just because of the amount of labor there is in having to remove this type of window. So I'm Tim Gibson with information on changing out your windows.